I'm a trans dad, and I use gender-neutral pronouns when referring to my child. I raised Wilder practicing they/them pronouns. My child is, as they would say, you're just Wilder. I was 9 years into my transition when I found out that I was pregnant. Being a papa, a parent, is something that I've dreamt of being my entire life, and I never knew how I would come to it as a queer trans person. A lot of people claim that I'm confusing my child by raising them in a gender-neutral way. I have hundreds of comments that say, poor child. CPS should remove that child. And people say ignore it, but there's only so much you can ignore. So right now we're in Wilder's playroom. One of the things that felt really important to me when I was creating this room was that it be as gender neutral as possible. It's not a pink or blue nursery. It's a room for Wilder. We've got trucks, we've got dinosaurs, we've got Barbies, we've got dolls, we've got books about being your truest self. When I was growing up, I was a born female, and I really only had access to makeup boxes and jewelry and high heels and dress-up clothes, and I wanted the soccer ball. I wanted to build things, and I didn't have the most access to the things that I think I would have enjoyed the most. It's just giving your child access to things and having things available for them to be able to decide if that's what they like or if that's what they like. And that's what I try to do for Wilder. I was 9 years into my transition when I found out that I was pregnant. My pregnancy with Wilder was a surprise for me. I am a recovering addict, and my last relapse, I acted out, and one of the initial consequences turned greatest blessing of my life. I conceived my child during my last relapse in my addiction. Being a papa, a parent, is something that I've dreamt of being my entire life, and I never knew how I would come to it as a queer trans person, and the universe did for me what I didn't think I'd be able to do for myself. Everybody was completely shocked. I decided to raise Wilder as gender neutral and to practice gender creative parenting really from the beginning, before Wilder was even born. I've seen how our gendered stereotypes impact children and their experience in the world, and I didn't want that to happen for Wilder. My child is, as they would say, you're just Wilder. Gender is fluid. I don't identify as a man or a woman. I identify as both, somewhere in between, some days neither. And how I felt yesterday is different than how I feel today, and might even be different than how I feel tomorrow. And so one thing that I want to be very clear with Wilder is that you don't have to know. The kids at school ask Wilder, are you a boy or a girl? And Wilder says, I'm Wilder. And that's it. Then they go back to playing. Kids are far smarter than our society gives them credit for, and understand themselves a whole lot better than, honestly, many adults that I know.
What would you say to people who think that you are confusing Wilder?
I think a lot of people who claim that I'm confusing my child by raising them in a gender-neutral way are people who just haven't had the education or experience themselves to understand why I'm doing this, or how gendered stereotypes impact kids. The things that I struggled with the most as a child, as a youth, were society's expectations that had been placed upon me. This is how you should act. This is what you should look like. This is, right? And I didn't fit into those boxes, but had I known that there had been this option where actually you don't have to fit into the mold or the box, you can create your own. In fact, that's really beautiful. I think it would have changed my life. I came out as trans when I was 25, and the one thing that my parents have done perfectly my entire life is they've loved me unconditionally. So when I told my mom, she's like, I don't understand this. I don't want you to do this because I'm terrified for you, but you're my child. So whatever you decide to do, we're gonna support you. And they have, and they absolutely have. It's so interesting to see myself at 37 and think about what I used to think or see myself as when I was a kid. And it's similar, and yet it's so different. Wilder calls me Papa. Wilder sometimes calls me Danny, to be silly. I chose Papa instead of Dad because it feels more soft and warm, and it feels a little bit more gender neutral for me as a non-binary person than Dad does. A friend reached out to me right after I found out I was pregnant, and she's like, have you thought about joining TikTok? And so I joined, and as soon as I did, my video went viral, and it's just been increasing over time. I've received a great deal of cyberbullying, hundreds, thousands of hateful comments. On a daily, regular basis, I have hundreds of comments that say, poor child. CPS should remove that child. People say ignore it, but there's only so much you can ignore. I've decided to take Wilder off of the internet and no longer show their face for their safety. The beautiful thing is that it only takes one positive and supportive comment to completely wash away hundreds and hundreds of negative comments. For that parent to tell me that, thank you, because now they can see the life that their child can one day live, or that child saying thank you. I didn't realize I could be a parent one day and actually carry my own child. Those comments keep me going.
I've always really admired that Danny is willing to continually put himself out there in the public sphere despite the kind of hate that comes back at him.
Tell us about Liz. Who's Liz?
Liz is my everything. She's the most second important person in Wilder's life, and she's become the second most important person in my life as well.
I mean, I've had trans friends. I attend a very liberal church where we have members who are trans, so it wasn't a foreign concept to me, and I've always been comfortable with the idea that people are who they are.
To know that somebody loves my child in the way that Liz loves Wilder is so reassuring and beautiful and leaves me feeling so hopeful and excited for Wilder because Wilder loves their Liz.
Liz loves their Wilder.
Like, it's so beautiful and it's the most magical place to be able to raise my child. We are on our farm. This is where Wilder was born. We have tons of animals. As you can see, this is Margot. She loves these flowers. These are our new bottle-fed baby goats. We've got Tilly here. Who else do we have, Wilder?
Astro and peanut butter jelly.
Astro and peanut butter jelly. Do you want to help Papa let the rest of them? Hitchcock is quite talkative this morning. Do you want to help Papa let the rest of the animals out? Good day, ladies. Good day. Hello. You all right? Hello, Cynthia. We have 3 cats. We've got 2 parrots. We've got pigs and chickens and alpacas and goats. This is Bouncer. Bouncer's a hen, but sometimes what happens is hens will take on rooster-like characteristics if there aren't any roosters around. And so Bouncers are a non-binary chicken who decided to start crowing at 4 a.m. Getting emotional talking about it. It felt really special to get this non-binary chicken as a trans non-binary person. For Wilder's future, I hope they're met with kindness. And I hope that they have more self-love than I could have ever imagined possible for myself. And I hope that they know how smart and brave and bold and beautiful and caring they are. And I hope that they achieve their dreams no matter what they are. I have no idea what the future holds or where we'll be, but what I do know is that my home is wherever my child is. Wilder's changed my life in every single way possible. Wilder shifted my life from darkness to light. They give me something to be hopeful for and to find joy in and to be proud of. Wilder's a really powerful little being. They are here to change this world.